In the previous 2 articles and video supplements, I covered the required qualifications and training involved for pilots who wish to work in the Gulf of Mexico. In this installment, my intent is to explore a few issues that impact the lifestyle of a pilot working in the Gulf of Mexico and some tips for adjusting to this unique work environment. In order to attract pilots from a larger, more national pool, helicopter operators serving the GOM created a schedule that would enable pilots to live in various parts of the country, thus allowing them to commute to work. GOM veterans share some thoughts on the schedule.
If you work a 7 on or a 7 off, or a 14 on or a 14 off, those are the 2 common schedules. The time home is great. The 2, especially on a 14 and 14, you get 2 weeks off every month. You know, that's a vacation for most people if you're in a normal job. The downside is that you're also gone completely away from home for half of that month.
Commute, when you're talking about a 7 and 7 or a 14 and 14 schedule, remember you're going to be traveling 2 of your days off. One to get to your base location the day before, and then after you're done with your work schedule or your work hitch, you're going to be traveling another day to get back home. So the 7 and 7 schedule is really a 5 and 9 schedule, and the 14 and 14 schedule is a 12 and 16 schedule. So although we say 7 and 7 and 14 and 14, remember that there's 2 days of travel if you're commuting from a far distance. The 7 and 7 or 14 and 14 schedule will either do 1 or 2 things. It'll work very well for you and your family, or it'll be a disaster for you and your family. So I would advise anyone before they accept an offer in the Gulf of Mexico is to make sure that they have buy-in from their family.
Some operators in the GOM have a pilot workforce who work under a collective bargaining agreement, also known as a CBA. A CBA generally uses pay scales to define how much pilots get paid and can be affected by such factors as seniority, type of helicopter flown, and other possible incentives.
As a new hire pilot coming to the Gulf of Mexico, typically around $60,000. Now, a lot of the new hire pilots will make more than that, but that's typically what you'll expect around a base pay level. And then, of course, tacked on top of that, you'll have things like possible per diem, workover, ATP bonuses, SIC bonuses, and such. So,
as an example, pay scales can have steps ranging from 1 to 25 years, with a senior pilot who's an IFR captain and 25 years on the job earning $118,000+ per year. Visit helicoptersalaries.com to learn more about helicopter operator pay scales and benefit packages. I don't care who you are. Unless you've lived and worked in southern Louisiana, as a new pilot to the GOM, your ability to adapt to new environments will be seriously tested. Here are some observations and words of advice from veteran GOMERs.
Some of the things that a lot of guys come in when they first start down here, they come into are some of our bases are kind of remote. There's not a lot of after-hours activities to go do. There's not a movie theater or anything like that close by. Now, some of our bases do have that, but not all.
It is, and the culture itself can be a real shock sometimes, because a lot of the work is in southern Louisiana, and it is a different lifestyle.
Yeah. Culture down here, if you're not really into hot, spicy food or fast food, you might have a little trouble finding something that you really like. But for the most part, it's just a different area than where they may be accustomed to being from, and you're spending half your life here basically. So it requires a little bit of adaptation, I would say.
You don't get to come home at night, so that's hard for some people to get used to, and it is something that it takes a lot of support from your family. And it takes some getting used to if you do have a family, if you're not a single person.
On your time at work, of course, you have up to a 14-hour duty day, and we don't always work that many hours, but you can, particularly in the summer months. So there's not a whole lot of time left over for recreational things. But of course, we have TVs in our trailers that we live in, and And a lot of guys bring movies, and there's a lot of shop talk. Guys sit around, talk, and just socialize with the guys. A lot of really good guys we work with here. So.
Speaking of trailers, I visited Bristow's Galliano base, which is considered to be a super base. The base is basically a large, bustling patch of ground with a few hangars, a passenger terminal, a massive dirt parking lot, a bunch of helicopters, and dozens of mobile homes in neat rows which house the people on hitch. I found the accommodations, at least at this base, were very clean, fairly new, and quite sufficient for habitation. Not only does each trailer have a common full kitchen and living room area, but several other creature comforts are provided, such as flat-screen TVs and wireless internet. Most importantly, pilots at this base are provided with their own private bedroom and bathroom while living there on hitch. So what's the takeaway from all this? If you're a pilot considering a career in the GOM, here are some tips that may help you not only adjust to this unique work-life environment, but also excel. Learn about the local culture and try to embrace the differences. Make productive use of your non-flying time while on hitch by physically working out or taking online courses towards some goal, such as a college degree or learning a language. Set yourself up to be able to communicate with family in a meaningful way. For example, Skype video conferencing is a way that your children can see you daily, which might reduce anxiety among children when mom or dad are away from home on hitch. Make good use of your time away from work while on break to fulfill personal or family obligations. If you run a business or work somewhere else on your time off, you may run the risk of work burnout. Stay tuned for our next segment on working in the GOM, where we'll explore maintenance, flight following, and experience from the field.